Denny Mowers. Good morning, Denny. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Mr. Keeler. How are you this morning?
I know Denny quite well because when we did was it the world's largest jelly donut? No, it was the pasta dish.
Pasta, yes. We had lots of pasta.
Denny is your technical term, your title is?
I'm a licensed land surveyor.
And when it came to weights and measurements, we needed somebody, and Denny was the guy who came in and actually measured and made it legitimate for us to get that world record in Guinness. So, pretty cool.
That was fun. It was fun. But
I can't imagine you're calling about that, however.
No, my gosh. The other day, Thursday, on your show, you had Peter Ravazzi.
Yes.
That was on, and I took exception to what he said regarding the town board as being really not knowing what we were doing. And I was elected to the town board. I took office in January of 2016, and I reviewed all the stuff that was presented to us by the Creekside Trailer Park.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he brought up was that the 2011 mapping that FEMA prepared, which was preliminary, we never used that. We used the mapping that was sent to us by FEMA in 1985. We brought it into law, into German Flats law, and approved it in 1987.
All right.
And the information regarding the floodplain near the Creekside Trailer Park in the 1985 map, the property is entirely within the effective FEMA mapping of the floodplain. And we never used the 2011 map. So, and we proved that to their first attorney the night that we had the public meeting.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he brought the 2011 map. I mean, he defied our code laws. And of course, the town council, we've reviewed all of the mapping that he had, and Judge Norm Siegel wanted us to have another public meeting, which we did, to give them a chance to bring in any additional information that was part of that, which they never really did. So regardless of whether we use the 1985 map or the 2011 map, the property is within the regulated floodplain area. And it only makes common sense, Bill, that the property has been repeatedly flooding.
Well, they've said that it has only flooded once, right? That there was only one flood, and that Frank was incorrect when he said that it flooded several times.
Well, it depends on, I guess, the term flood. The last flood that we had in 2013, that was June 28th, the water come up over the banks with such a velocity that it destroyed or moved or whatever at least 4 out of the 7 trailers that were there. And then on June 28th, if it wasn't for the town front-end loader, we went in, and you could ask Bill Jaquish, who was in the bucket that helped save some people, and it was, us that went in. So it's almost as if a lot of the people, in my opinion, are intimidated by these people. That's the only thing I can.
Well, for those that aren't keeping track, the P. Ravazzi is the son of Mrs. Jaquish,
yes.
And her husband own the trailer park. Manaski's done a little digging and has some paperwork as well.
I just want to mention one thing. This was sent to me from the town. This is from the Department of Environmental Conservation. It's from the Chief Floodplain Management Section, William Neckerman. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah, you are, yes.
He goes on to say, no encroachment into a floodway is permitted unless a technical evaluation demonstrates that such encroachment shall not result in any increase in flood levels. There's a lot of technical stuff in here. At the bottom, he commends the town for its commitment to reduce flooding risks to its residents and property owners. Says his office is able to provide technical assistance. I see some other notes in here. It talks about no new construction located, extended, converted, altered. No land shall be excavated or filled without full compliance of terms in local law. So this kind of seems to verify what
Frank
Spotto said when he was on the air. But let me ask you this. You're talking about floodplains and areas and not redeveloping That how long has that trailer park existed? My question is, if it was a floodplain in a dangerous area, it shouldn't have even been there to begin with. Question mark.
It was there. I'm just trying to think when Mr. Dusler sold that to the Jaquishes. That was in and around 1992, I believe. The trailer park was in there before the flood mapping.
Okay.
All right.
And that's why they just needed to prepare mapping and things like that. We, as a town, spent so far $247,000. We had to hire our own surveyors and engineers to come up with what they should have done, and then pay our attorney because we found all of this problem. And the thing that bothers me and puzzles me, they hired a surveyor to do an elevation certificate, and it was found by their own surveyors, and that come out the night of the public meeting, that their own surveyor said that they were within the 100-year flood, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And they never even believed them, and they can't do anything in that because it was basically destroyed. If you've got 4 trailers out of 7, it's sort of washing downstream a little bit. You want to make sure that you have all your nuts and bolts.
Yeah. I want to just ask you a couple of more general questions. First off, is this cut and dry based on the fact that they did work when they didn't have a permit and the town had a stop work order? Is that true?
That is true. We give them 2, and they defied both, and they kept right on working. And then they defied the judge, Judge Siegel's, and that's what usually a judge doesn't like to give sanctions out, but because he defied their order, there was sanctions given to them to do certain things by a certain date.
And you're saying that was not done?
I don't think it's been done. I haven't been up there in a couple of days. I know the trailers have to be removed, or we get paid for removing them as a town, and the wall has got to be taken out.
So the wall, tell me, the wall that was put in basically changed the trajectory somewhat of the stream, as opposed to it going in at an angle. It goes straight up and down, and according to the research that you guys came up with, that can't be done, and they did it anyway without a permit.
That's exactly right. They narrowed the top of banks between the 2 banks, so they narrowed the stream. And, of course, when you have an amount of water that comes down the stream and it hits something narrow, 2 things happen. The water increases in velocity and it rises.
Got it. Okay. Finally, last question, and I have to break. The target has been Frank. And when they say Frank it's been personal for Frank. He wanted to buy the property. He's done this to them on his own. This is Frank versus the Jaquish family in that trailer park. Do you agree with that, and can you comment on that quickly?
Yeah, I can comment on that, and that's nuts. Frank is part of, he's supervisor, town supervisor, and we have 5 votes. We have 4 councilmen votes or council persons.
Yep.
They run the town. Frank doesn't. He runs a day-to-day deal. And if there was a tie, if you had 2 town councilmen voting for something and 2 against, Frank, as supervisor,
would get a vote.
No.
Oh, he would not.
Cannot get a vote to determine a tie. We have to go back in under an executive meeting, talk it out, bring in our local attorney and the code people or whatever, and then we have to discuss it to find out the best way. But Frank has nothing to do with this. This was a code person and the town, the town council. Frank has nothing to do with this.
And finally, what was the vote in regards to this trailer park on the town board?
We had 1 town board person missing, and it was and Frank could vote on that. So we had 4 votes to 1. One of the ladies could not be there. She was ill at the time.
All right, Denny. We appreciate your time with the update, and it was great talking to you.
Well, I think it was. I thank you for having me, and by golly, I'm sure we'll run into your families.
I'm sure you will, or one of my Guinness records. I mean, one of the others. So,
well, there we go. We got to have another one of them.
We certainly do. Thank you, Denny Mowers.
No, we don't. We
appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.